Hello, writers. Happy Monday. We are joined again by Ted Capshaw. Hi, Ted.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. I'm enjoying the series. So if anybody is new to us today, we are working on vision and we're doing a vision series, and Ted has got 5 pillars that we're working through. We've talked about legacy. We've talked about values and time. And now today, Ted, we're going to talk about money.
Money, money, money. So this one's big. And this is one that I have not, I said the whole vision piece a couple of weeks ago that this is new. I'm exploring it. I'm out in there like testing the waters, working with people around it, these 5 pillars. But full disclosure, like I didn't talk about money a lot, like coaching people about money. But what I found over the years is that money always came into the equation. And I'm like, I can't just dismiss this. Because the truth of the matter is money's important, right? And money is an emotional topic. Money is also a topic that we don't talk enough about. It's true. Like I could talk about the fact that money is in the top 3 reasons that people get divorced. Why? Because they're not lined up on it. They're not talked up about it. They don't talk about it. And this idea that money has to be part of our vision. It has to be. And it can't be loosey-goosey. And so the way I like to talk about money is in 2 things. There's 2 things that I want people to consider about money. One, how much do you want to make? And what's the plan to get there? In very practical terms, right? And so, again, this can't be loosey-goosey. Because again, I ask people, hey, what do you want to make as a writer? What's the answer, Jade?
6 figures.
6 figures. Like, and that's what, if I ask a 25-year-old, what's your goal? I want to make 6 fig. I want to make 6 fig. Like it's like this big, but we don't know what it means, right? We don't know what it means for our life. So now you're talking about legacy and the yin and yang of that. Like, what am I going to have to give up to get the money and the time and all this? And then all of a sudden we hit this spot, the 4th pillar of money. And we have to consider, one, what kind of money do I really need to support the life that I want to live, the values-based life, how I'm going to spend my time, etc. And then do I have a real plan to get there? Most people don't. They're just saying, hey, I'm going to go grab every dollar that I can without saying. So when I give presentations on this vision now, there's one slide that has 1 word on it, and that's it. And the 1 word on the slide is enough. And I want people to get to a point to say, what would be enough? It doesn't mean that you won't go on to build legacy and by the way of wealth and all the rest of that stuff. But what do we ever consider that word when building a solo, an entrepreneurial journey? What would be enough? And then how am I going to manage my finances? And so we could get deep into the practical side, because I believe that people should start thinking about buckets. Is the one thing that I want to throw out. When thinking about how much money you need, sometimes it's helpful to separate your life into buckets. It could be, in this time frame right now, I'm looking to buy a first home. I need 20% down. My budget's $300,000. I need $60,000. Here's one bucket, right? I have 2 kids. I want to plan on giving them, $100,000 for college. I need $200,000 here. I want to retire at age and this is what it's going to take. Here's another bucket. As you start to fill those buckets, you will realize there is enough, right? But I also say, I want to point out to people, which will bring me to my second point about money. You will free up space here and in here as you fill the buckets up, which will lend itself to the whole values-based life and living a more fulfilled life and a prosperous life and all this other stuff. Which brings me to my second point about money. You have to figure out what your relationship with money is.
It's huge.
It's totally huge. And which is, full disclosure, the primary reason why I made one of the pillars money, because people have banged up relationships with money, me included, right? People that grew up poor have money insecurity. People that grew up rich maybe don't value money as much, and they're just out there trying to accumulate and repeat what they grew up in, even though it's not fulfilling, and they feel empty, and they're like, right? Money's not good or bad. Money has everything to do with your relationship with it. your individual relationship and belief system around money. And, you know, again, I'll only speak for myself. There was many years of my life that I lived under that whole belief system that money was evil.
Yes.
And that I was rooted in my vision of, hey, I want to go out there and do good in the world. So I ran 2 different nonprofits for probably 11 or 12 years. I wasn't making good money, but I was doing purposeful work, which brings me to this idea that I always say I want fulfillment and prosperity. The problem is sometimes people chase fulfillment, as I just articulated about myself, and I foregone prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't want people just chasing prosperity and without fulfillment. And so this has everything to do with your relationship with money. Somewhere along the line, I got out of my way and I said, no, I can do meaningful work that supports those first 3 pillars, but I can also prosper.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's a huge mind shift as well.
Yeah. And
right.
So I want people really to consider this idea of money. There's 2 things. The practical is like, get real with yourself. What kind of money do you want to make? And don't just say 6 figures. Like some people would live a life, you know, and make X way under 6 figures and live the exact life that's going to support them. Some people need to go out and make $250,000, but now you got to figure out a plan to do it, and you got to figure it out. And then the relationship piece is just a big piece.
Well, I think that, you know, there's a lot of, we've talked about this in other spaces before. Why do you want to make 6 figures, or what is that number? Like, is it because you think it's what you should be? Does that success to you? You're like, why do you want that number? And I've said this many times as well. 6 figures, there's 100,000, there's 999 to 100,000, right? So what is 6 figures? Like, what is your actual number? I think get super specific on that, because then when you hit goals, the more specific it is, the more you can see that you're actually hitting them.
Yeah.
And I think, Ted, what those buckets also remind me of. There's something human that we want control, right? We want to feel like we are in the driver's seat. And there's many things in life that we are not in the driver's seat for. But in that circle of influence type of methodology, your money is something that you can control. Your spending and what you make and all of it is something that you can control. And when you gain that control, it feels so good that I feel like it feels a success, and you become like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? That you're able to do more because you have that feeling of that control. And yeah, it's inevitable. Like, even though it's something that nobody talks about, money is inevitable. And the less
you have to talk about it.
Yeah, it does.
Well, you're talking about that control piece. It's pivotal. It's pivotal. And again, I speak to my own experience. As my bucket's full, I became a better solopreneur. I became a better husband. I became a better father. And that's why I stopped running from the conversation of money in my coaching, because it's all interconnected. Truth be told, when I first started my business, I was focused on staying afloat, and money had to be. Guess what? Those first 3 pillars weren't really top of mind. So to your point, like, if you can get those buckets being filled and have more control, you're going to be powerful. You can be really freaking powerful.
And another, like, this sort of falls into legacy in some way, shape, or form. But I grew up in a household where money was spoken about, and my parents were very open about the fact that they had savings and bonds, and how they set up, cash out that would come every 10 years and things like that. How do you think I grew up, like, with handling my money, right? Savings, I've always had a savings account. It's never not been a part of my life. And it's only because they opened up that conversation. So you have no idea how opening up this conversation is going to impact those around you, not just you. So
it's true. Okay. So a lot to consider here.
Yeah, and maybe we'll 2 questions.
We'll revisit this one maybe somewhere later in the year, because again, it's just that this money piece, just check in on people. But the 2 things, one, it's how much do you want to make, and what's your process to getting there? What are your buckets? Would be a good way to frame it up, like, right, that are going to feed the life that you want. And need, right? There's the need. Some people just don't even have that. Like, if I ask, and this is why I say this is such a big topic. It's hard to do on just one Monday, but if I ask people, what's your monthly nut? Some people don't even know. you can't really be a solopreneur without knowing your numbers. So there's the practical side, and then there's the other side. What's your relationship with money? And is it serving you well? Is it driving bad decisions? Has it you handcuffed because you don't want to spend a penny, or you spend it too much? Like, what's your relationship with money? You got to really slow down and consider that.
Okay, and then next week, I think it's going to be my favorite one, Ted, but we're going to get into the last pillar, and that is belly laughs and dreams. So it's positive, love, happy rainbows coming your way. We'll see everybody then. Thank you, Ted.